Hello friends, once again I am again making this video after completion of another 10-day Vipassana meditation course in South India. This course has just finished today and I am now going back home. So after just coming out of the gate, I thought of sharing my immediate experiences as what I seen in those 11 days, actually 10 days of medication plus 1 day of introduction. So I think that these immediate experiences will be useful for my own understanding once I reach to the normal way of life. And otherwise I may got confused, or may got my ideas may got mixed with the my previous acquired ideas. So that's why I immediately thought of sharing what I experienced in this third 10-day course. Actually, I already did two 10-day courses on Vipassana meditation, and I shared some videos on my YouTube channel. You can see those videos on them on that channel. And this time I am not talking about the process as such and the concept as such, because they have already been covered by me in the previous videos. I actually want to understand what implication does this meditation technique holds for us as a mental health professional in dealing with clinical population as such, and in helping the people with their way of living in general. So I will try to understand and to discuss what are the therapeutic uh, inputs that I could have been gathered, or I may have gathered in these 10 days. Specifically, my discussion will be focusing on the therapeutic outcome of this type of meditative process. Talking about the process as such, well, I already shared, and you may recall by seeing those videos, or by your own knowledge as such, that basically this technique is a technique for liberation, and whatever things that are coming through, they are just a byproduct of undergoing that particular process. The goal is different, and during that process things will happen to you, and you will gain a lot of things physically, mentally also, as a outcome of that process, because you are working on that particular process. Now this whole concept as devised or reinvented by Gautam Buddha, the Siddhartha Gautam, uh, is for liberation of a person from his defilements, and by doing so the person underwent lots of emotional and physical uh, positivity, and ultimately reach a goal which he said liberation. Now, as I see it in this third 10-day meditative course, my experience is far not far but little different from the previous two 10-day courses. Like in previous two 10-day courses, uh, uh, I basically uh, went to learn this process, so I was more focusing on the physical things, or the commands, or following the instructions and the commands, and my more attention and focus was on implementing those things in that particular timetable, during that particular timetable. But now this time, because I already knew this technique, I already known what is about to come on first day, second day and onwards. So I was more into the effectiveness of those particular uh, instructions on me. So now, as I recall, after 10 days, see, I just want to make it very clear that this process of Vipassana meditation is ultimately for liberation from your own so-called sanskaras or defilements as you acquired or accumulate through your life process. And if you believe in different births, so which you have accumulated across your births, right? So he said that once you came out of all your liberations, I mean, once you came out of all your defilements, then there will be no birth, because you have already have no so-called desire to live, because there is no sanskara of any craving or aversion left in you. So if that is not left in us in any sense, craving for nothing and aversion for nothing, then there will be no birth. That is what I understood liberation as told by Siddhartha Gautam, as I understood basically. And if that is not happening, you will again take in birth. That is fine. So that angle is one of the goal of this particular meditation. But how this particular process can be more useful for general public? See, most of us will not strive for liberation, and most of us will not, equipped also to liberate ourselves, because if you believe in this particular concept, then we might be accumulating so many sanskaras in us, which may take many births to liberate. So what to do now? So I think that's why I went to this third time to attending this course. So what practical outcome can be taken from this this concept to use on a day-to-day living, on a daily basis, so that we can make the life easier of ourselves also, and for the people with whom we are living. So now, being a mental health professional, my whole focus and more intention was on the therapeutic outcome of this meditation on the common day-to-day level problems of one, general public, and two, clinical population. So this I will try to discuss what I felt, how this process can be more useful for having a positivity in our life, or keeping our mental health positive, or should I say how it is effective enough to keep a positive state of mind as we live on a daily basis. Now, to understand the positivity of this technique in a normal population, day-to-day level of life, we have to understand the two nature of this particular process. One, I can call it as a primary process. Another, I will call it as a secondary process. One is primary, which basically focuses on achieving small target, one target, which will be helpful in achieving your secondary target. And what is this target? This target of understanding the concept of awareness and acceptance. They start Vipassana by introducing you to Anapan. So Anapan basically is a small step to go for Vipassana. In Anapan, you just have to understand how to create a focus on very smaller part of your body. Now, for this, they have used, the people who have propagated, and Siddhartha Gautam, who has reinvented this technique, he has used this nostril and the upper lip. So, by nostril, because through nostril we take breath, which is a very natural human activity, which is involuntary, always comes on its own, and which is very easy to see, and which is universal also, which can be generalized also. So there is no religion or there is no cult which can be associated with this particular observation. So it is universal, generalized, humane, and very natural also. So just to focus on the way the breath comes in, the breath goes out, and where it touches the upper part of your lip. Gradually you will decrease this triangle covering your nose, the nose and the upper lip. So when you uh, narrow down the particular triangle to a very narrow triangle, very narrow point, like a tip of your fingerprint. So when you actually do this thing, then you try to understand the sensation that is actually happening in that particular place. This process is really meant to make us more aware, make us more observant of the particular area, because when we are able to recognize the sensation there at that particular point, the space of our, say, fingertip, our mind, if it has become that much sharpened, then you can understand the concept of vipassana. Then you can go for vipassana in future. You can learn vipassana, practice vipassana. So this is a primary requirement to make your mind that much observant. So when you sit for this particular thing, then as a natural entity, as a natural, as a natural behavior, our mind always wanders away. It will floats from this place to that place. So it goes on, right? So why I'm telling you this particular mechanism is because by practicing this thing, we can understand the concept of awareness and then acceptance. And stop there, right there. What is happening? What is actually happening there? Like whenever we sit for anapan, naturally our mind will automatically in a few seconds will go from this place to another place, maybe in the past, maybe in the future, or I don't know. It goes wherever it wants. So again, whenever our mind goes this way, we just have to realize that our mind has gone and start regain our focus on the particular point of sensation on the upper lip. It is very easy to do that. So once you do that, you become aware that your mind has gone away from this particular focus. You accept that thing, that my mind has gone away, my mind has gone. Then there has to be no defeat, there has to be no depression. You should not feel any depression in that. You should not feel any defeat in that. You should not feel any guilt in that. You should not feel any dejected in that. Like the process is indicating one thing, that it is very much natural that your mind will always wanders away whenever you close eyes, sit with closed eyes and try to focus on a narrow particular point or narrow down area. So once you are aware about this thing, usually in our life we try to become, try to feel a bit maybe anxious, maybe defeated, that I am not able to concentrate, I am not able to focus. So this technique, we can reuse this technique to make the person learn, make ourselves learn that it is very natural to have this feeling that we are having a disturbance in our focus or concentration. So once you become aware, right, you have to accept that thing, but don't go beyond that. Just accept that thing and that's it. Stop right there. There has to be no guilt feeling that my mind has gone away and I'm not able to focus. Because once you develop this thing, then once you feel that way or start feeling that way, then again you are overstressing yourself, and then in that way you cannot able to focus furthermore. You will not able to focus. So awareness about mind is wandering away, not able to focus, and then accept this thing that okay, mind has gone away from this place to any other past event or future activity. Fine, it is fine. So again, with the help of breath, bring your mind from that past or that future to the present point of this concentration on the upper lip, on where you was trying to focus. Now, this concept can be used in our daily life. In daily life activities, usually in our reactions with our people, reactions to ourselves, reactions to situations in life, usually we feel very heightened emotions, like where we are feeling dejected, we are feeling irritable, maybe anger, maybe we are having so much of defilements in terms of, say, lust is there, you can say, you then there is egoism is there. So we all have different types of personality attributes in us, but then usually we are not aware of such defilements which we are always carrying in terms of, you can call any personality features. Usually we all have certain attributes more or less, but many of us, including me, we are not aware of that particular thing. So if we understand this concept of acceptance of our wrong behavior, you can call it, or of our a particular type of or style of behavioral pattern, you can say like that, then you remain, or you understand that it is not always other person's fault. It is more often it is your fault, because you have learned to behave in this particular fashion, or you have this tendency to behave in this particular fashion. So that brings the acceptance that I am proudy, I am egoistic person, right? Because I am egoistic person, so always try to influence others, or always try to do certain activities, and then in any particular sense to influence other people, or to do any other activity. But if that acceptance is not there, then we always blame the environment, the other people, right? And thereby we are not only making the other person's life miserable, or problematic, but we are also making our life over stress, and but we don't know the reason of that stress. So that stress is always going in our unconscious part of mind, and thereby it is accumulating, and somehow it is presenting in some psychosomatic problems or psychosomatic illnesses, etc., etc. That is another part of my discussion. So right, acceptance make us aware of our defilements. Acceptance makes us aware of our particular or unique or a type of behavioral style. So when that is happening, half of the problem will be solved. We always be in a calm state of mind. Why so? It is there, na? Because once you accept that it is because of my too much egoism, I always demand something from the environment in any particular fashion. So then maybe you're not able to overcome your ego, but then you're able to reduce your reactions, you are able to calm down your reactions. For that you have to be aware first, because without awareness, I think acceptance cannot be there. So what I learned take home is that once you should start behaving, not behaving, once you start you developing this such certain kind of these practices in your daily life, you become more observant with your mind. So when you become more observant with your mind, then your mind will definitely goes into other things which are hidden, and these things are our personality features. So they come into our focus, and then you realize that it is like what I am. So it is because of this nature of mind I'm having certain kinds of problems in our life. So then you try to resolve yourself first, and you're not trying to resolve other people or the environment. So thereby problem will actually resolve, because your outlook has changed. Otherwise you or me or anybody will always demand from the environment that they should change, or they should do certain things in a certain way. But then these concepts can be used to understand ourselves or correct ourselves. So aware about yourself, accept about the things that you might be having, but please, we should not be feeling guilty. That is, again, I am trying to understand that, because if you start feeling guilty about that, about anything that you are having in you, for example, you are having very irritable tendency. For example, let's say me, I am a egoistic type of person. So if I start feeling very stressed about this particular thing, okay, I'm not a right person, I'm a bad person because I'm having so much of ego in me. So how can I resolve them? I should not start, I'm such a wrong person or something like that. It's not going to help. I cannot change myself, because now that negative, I am focusing on the negative impact on, I'm focusing on the negative impact, not on the particular thing which needs to be focused. So if we have to be aware that after acceptance, we should not feel any guilt in ourselves. So in Anapan, the first stage of Vipassana, you become aware, you accept, and then there should not be guilt. Simply you again have to be observant. So translate it into our daily life. Be aware about ourselves. We accept about our own weaknesses, our own defilements, or our own a certain behavioral or personality style. Then we try to modify it. So guilt, a feeling of sin or guilt or feeling of negativity, that should not be there. Otherwise we cannot change and we go into another direction. So that is more complicated then. It will more create complications. So by this concept of acceptance about ourselves, I think we can keep our mental health in a very calm, peaceful, or always full of energy and positivity. Of course, problems will be there, but then we may develop a different attitude to see that particular problems or those particular problems. In that way, we can having more, logical reasoning or energy or other mechanisms to actually deal with those kinds of problem, and then definitely we will come out of it. Or even if we are not able to come out of it, but the impact that those problems may be having on us may not be the same which would be happening to us earlier on. So I think these concepts of awareness, acceptance helps us to live life in a peaceful mind. Now that is one part of positive mental health, how we can keep it after this thing, learning Vipassana meditation. Now second, which I was telling about, this observation only based on my Anapan. Anapan is an introductory step of Vipassana. Now coming back to Vipassana process as such. Now Vipassana is beyond that. Like, it try to make you, in a very simple word, it try to makes you equanimous with all things in life. Now if you want to know what is equanimous and how it is happening, how we learn in to have this behavioral, to develop this behavioral style, I think you can see my previous videos in which I detailed about the actual process of Vipassana, how actually it's practiced in a daily life, or how it is practicing. Yeah, how it can be practiced basically, right? So because I'm not going into it, the reason is this time I'm trying to focus more on the therapeutic outcome of these processes, right? Otherwise it will be like repetition of all those things which I already presented in my previous videos. Now Vipassana, now as we all understand, is basically making you to have a equanimous state of your mind towards all things in your life, whatever they are coming from, whichever directions they are coming, from whichever persons they are coming, etc., etc. Now having said that, so it definitely helps you to develop a sense of neutrality, or I should say neutral attitude. So now first Anapan helps us, or may helps us, to make us aware and accept about our defilements, about our own weaknesses, about our own certain behavioral or personality styles. And this Vipassana, which is further than Anapan, is basically helps us to keep a neutral attitude towards all things that are happening in our daily life. Whether they are pleasant to us or whether they are unpleasant to us, we can develop this tendency to be having a sense of observation to them, not get involved in them. Now when I understand this thing and when I share these things with you, I basically mean that it's not like we are neutral to them. To say, see, there is a confusion between being neutral and being non-reactive, right? As I understood these 10 days, it's not about not reacting. It's about reacting also, but keeping a sense of neutrality also. We are actually reacting in a particular activity. We are a part of this process, but the essence that we are gathering from that particular reaction is of neutrality. That okay, it is neutral because it is impermanence, which is the universal law of nature. It has to end somewhere, maybe immediately, maybe after some time, but it has to end. Howsoever it is pleasant to us, or howsoever it is unpleasant to us, we should not develop any craving for it, and we should not develop any sense of aversion for it, because it has to end. So, although I think what I'm getting it is that we are reacting to it, but after learning Vipassana, or after practicing Vipassana, or after following Vipassana, or after imbibing Vipassana in you, you will, although reacting, but developing a sense of neutrality, which may not be there earlier on. Earlier on, it was always like reaction plus the outcome is affecting us. Like if it is for, say, pleasurable situations or pleasurable activities happening around us, we are enjoying them. So again, when we are enjoying a certain activity, it has to end somewhere. So when it ends, we are again may develop a sense of, sadness or depression, should I say, or sad of sense of hollowness, because we are craving for that particular activity to reappear again, and that activity may not reappear again, or should I say, will not reappear again, because all activities are bound to end someday, immediately, later on. It has to end. So when you develop a sense of craving, it is like that. So similarly, for unpleasant situations in our life, previously also, without Vipassana, we are reacting to it, and we are not keeping a neutral attitude towards them. So we are reacting to them also, and we are having this attitude of aversion to immediately end. So we are expecting things to end from our own angle, but they will end. Of course they will end, but they will have their own stay. They will have their own cycle. They will have their own time frame. But since they are aversive to us, so we want them to end immediately, and that is not going to happen, because nature functions on its own. Nature is not our slave. So that is the meaning or the difference that I immediately gathering. That, see, earlier on when I did 2 courses last year, so I understood this thing as ki Vipassana makes us non-reactive. But after this 3rd course, which I'm trying to understand deeper sense of this non-reactiveness, is that you may react, you have to react, since you are a reactive person, you are a normal human being, you will react to the situations, but beyond this reactivity comes a sense of neutrality. So you will see these things from a witness part of view, from a observation part of view. So you are being a witness to a particular activity. You are being an observant for a particular activity. So that is actually what I'm trying to say, that whatever is happening in our life, whatever situations in which we are in, whatever things that we are doing, whatever means, whether they are pleasant to us, whether they are enjoyable to us, whether they are according to us, whether they are not enjoyable, whether they are not pleasant, and whether they are not according to us. In both the conditions, things are impermanent. They have to end somewhere. Sometimes they are immediately ending, sometimes they are not immediately ending, but they have to end. So develop this sense of this particular impermanence, which is a law of nature, and try to live life, if we can. Try to live life from that perspective. Then we will not be affected by the things that are happening to us, although they may have effect on us, because if somebody has met with an accident, it has to have an effect on that particular person. But then that particular attitude is changed, that this is just an activity. It's not like it's a bad activity. So taking the adjectives from that particular thing, like bad activity, like happy activity, so you become more neutral to that particular situation or thing in life. So the second concept that is essential for us in a positive mental health perspective is that keeping a very observant attitude towards life. Now, if we can amalgamate all these things of Anapana and Vipassana, so thereby we are just uh, you know understanding the concept of being aware about actually in which situation we are, being accept about the situation, and not feel any guilt in that we are in that. And third, after having accepting that particular situation, that to develop a particular a sense of neutrality towards that situation. Accept, be neutral, accept and be neutral. So Anapan helps you to undergo Vipassana practice. So without this thing, Anapan practice or Anapan understanding, we cannot be, we should not, I mean, we may not be able to have a or develop a neutral attitude or observant attitude or witness attitude in our life, right? So thereby this both processes or both understanding go side by side, step 1 and step 2. So this is what I immediately gathered from this particular 10-day course which ended today, how we can use this concept in keeping our state of mind in a positivity, state of mind in a very calm and peaceful. Because if we keep our state of mind in a positive state, positivity, it is full with positivity, then of course we are able to deal with the situation in a more logical reasoning manner, and the outcome will be more beneficial for us. In that way also it will be helping us to keep our calm further and further. So they are all multiplying and multiplying. So that is for the general population, the general people, how we can understand these concepts and develop our tendencies to behave that way, in which they will help us to change our behavioral pattern and attitude also in life, and that way it will benefit us. So this is nothing called liberation. It is maybe a process towards liberation. It's not liberation. So Vipassana for public, the therapeutic outcome is in this way it can be used in our daily life. So this is what I understood. What are the immediate outcome or immediate effects of this process, which can be helpful for a layman or a general common man or general public as such. I just want to share these views so that once I go back in my own actual real life, they may not get affected and mixed with my previous accumulated intelligence or previous accumulated learning. That's why I thought of sharing immediately, so that once I go back and see this video also myself, I will see, okay, fine, these are the things which can be used. So I may recall, whoa, this can be used in this way. I will try to understand now more, contemplate more, keeping this thing as a baseline to how actually these things can be practiced by me in my daily life, and can be advised to other people if they want to understand or share this knowledge. Now this is one part of my discussion. In another part, I will definitely try to discuss as how these things or therapeutic inputs can be used for people who are having psychopathology, especially in terms of mental psychopathology, because we are mental health professionals. So being a mental health professional, we should be using such techniques also for those people who are in distress, not only for general public. So I deliberately want to discuss these two things separately. So now I'm ending this video, and with this note that this might be a little bit helpful for all of us, whoever is seeing these videos, to make a change, or to try to understand things from another perspectives also. Okay, then if you want to discuss anything, or if you want any clarification, or if you want to comment on any things which might have been wrongly produced by me, your comments are always welcome. Please do comment, or please do advise. If you want to advise, give me advice any on my my email ID. And with this positive note, I am ending this video here right now, because I am in the mid path. From this on this side it is the highway, and this side it is the meditation center, which about I think 500 meters from this side, from this point, and about maybe around 1 kilometer from towards this side is the highway. So I'm standing on the midway between these both points, and I think it's very sunny. So I should stop, take a rest for 5 minutes, and then again I will come back and present another video or make another video on how this therapeutic inputs of Vipassana can be rightfully or can be tried on people having mental disorders, which I understood from my own point of view. Thanks for viewing. Till then, take care. And as they say in Vipassana tradition, Sabka Mangal Ho, may all beings be liberated, be happy. This is Dr. Lakshmi signing off for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.